But I'm here alone. How am I here alone? Am I in the wrong place? In the wrong. I think. Oh, am I in this room with, oh, there, I see, admit.
Hello.
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
I hear you, Scott.
I've got to keep an eye because apparently I didn't set this up. Why am I so bad at meetings?
You're not. What's wrong with it?
Pandemic's been going on for months and I still can't figure out how to get the right things happening. So,
Hey guys,
I don't know.
hi Scott, how's it going?
good. Now that my mic's turned on.
I heard you when you asked before.
Matt and I were just, Matt and I are
Oh, you
really
did?
good, so.
Maybe it was my speaker wasn't turned on. That's funny.
Matt and I just have a click.
We do. We're in cahoots.
Look on.
And I'm happy to be able to come to this one because I had another meeting rescheduled.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I am glad too. Seems like you keep missing things. You missed Khalil and Anthe going away.
I know.
Hi, Tracy.
I did.
Which, by the way, like there will never be anybody who laughs as much as Khalil.
Nope. He's the best.
Oh, and so, Dave Lowry has only ever worked for the most part with Khalil or Anthe.
Okay.
And so he's like, oh, I said, Lowry, you're going to have to find some new friends. And somebody said something of like single ready to mingle. And I thought Khalil was going to die for like 5 minutes. Nobody could get a word in edgewise because Khalil was just laughing so hard at the idea of Dave Lowry being single and ready to mingle for a new friend.
Love it.
I love it too. Okay. Welcome. Before the break, we were getting 30 people into these meetings. Today, we're going to be lucky to get 4.
We
Yeah,
had
that's
30.
my first one, so I've never joined you guys.
Well, that's just rude, Scott.
That's why I've changed my ways.
Yeah, we had the last meeting. There was 35 people who joined us.
Wow.
I know, pretty awesome. Oh, I was going to leave, but I forgot I have to admit every single person that comes in. So.
Wait, was that the lunch meeting?
Yeah.
Was that the farewell? That was the 35 people one?
Oh, no. I don't. There was probably only 15 of us on that farewell call. Maybe not. I actually don't know how many people there were because I didn't have any kind of control panel. If you are just joining us, welcome. We're just giving people about 4 or 5 minutes to get in. I have to assume everybody has to go from one meeting to the next, so.
How many people? That's 6 or 7, 9. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Should force people to socialize when they come in.
It defaulted me to being muted though. How can I socialize if
Zoom, if you have a meeting of almost any size, it really wants you to have everybody join muted. Like the default settings are everybody joins muted.
I think 9 times out of 10, that is generally a good idea.
I wish I had more of the meetings set up to be no video because sometimes I don't want to join with the video. But then I forget that I don't have the video. And then like halfway through a day-long session, Jeff's like, hey, do you know you don't have your video on? Also, if anybody's ever in a workshop with me and you Slack me and I don't respond, it's because I cannot multitask at all. You just have to say, hey, Cameo, your video, turn it on. Because otherwise I have no idea what's going on. Okay, we're going to give people 2 more minutes and then we're going to start without them.
I think that's fair.
Yes. I think 5 after is a reasonable start time.
Hey, I may have to drop off here fairly quickly. I'm trying to juggle some other things. So if I drop off, it's
okay.
No reflection on you.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Go ahead and get ready for to be presenting. Oh, people are in the waiting room.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
There are certain things that I can just depend on you for. To be one of
Is that one of them?
Yes.
Why don't oysters donate to charity?
Why?
Because they're shellfish.
I didn't unmute fast enough to
Excellent.
try and.
Oh, Jeff knew it.
Yes.
He said, that's my favorite joke.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to try and keep an eye on the participants as they're coming in, since I seem to be the only one who can see that they're in the waiting room.
Make me a co-host, Cameo, then I think I can watch you.
That does sound like something that would be awesome. I don't know if I know how to do that. Let's see.
Oh, I don't even know what to think. I think it is.
Hey, wait a minute. More. There's a more. Let's see. Make host. Okay, you are in charge, Mr. Graham.
All right, I'll let people in if they're coming in.
Okay, well, let me, let's start then. Hey, everybody, welcome to the weekly Lunch and Learn, the weekly How We Do. This week, we are gonna talk about how to be a member of a team. Some of you might be working solo at the state or at a contract, but most of you are working on teams of other SolutionStream people. So that's what the focus of this is. Even if you're working for someone else, I think there's some good things here that you can be doing on a team that you're in that will make you have fun. And yeah, anyway. Okay, so let's see. I want to talk about Agile. I'm always looking for an excuse to talk about why I think that this is a great way to work. And so I want to talk about some of our Agile principles because I think they are super, super relevant to how to be successful within a team at SolutionStream. So one of them is make customer satisfaction a priority. And, you know, this one's a little bit funny for me because I think satisfaction at a customer level is a really complicated thing that isn't always driven by the thing that we think it is. But ultimately, our job is to deliver early and continuous value and to show our clients value as quickly as possible and to give them transparency into their own risk, which Agile processes allow us to do, which is a nice segue into number 2. This is a classic Agile kind of core thing. Working software is the primary measure of progress. Absolutely building things that people can use as quickly as possible should always be our goal. And that's true if you're developing code or if you're developing designs or if you're developing requirements in the form of user stories. The thing that's actually measurable is tangible working stuff that people can give us feedback on. We never want to be buried in work and only showing up to, you know, at the end. Number 3, build to learn and adapt. You know, MVP is one of the most ill-used phrases ever. And we still struggle to get our clients to completely buy into this, which is their goal in everything that they build should be to learn and adapt, not to build and walk away. I like to tell people in our sales cycle, you know you're successful when you're always building software, because you're learning and adapting and you're delivering actual value to people that makes them want to give you money. And so then you have money to keep developing. So number 4, kind of a lot like number 2, delivering value early and frequently and testing often. You know, things like prototypes early, things like usability testing when we're still in design is part of delivering functional software as early as possible, because then we get to go back to number 3, building to learn and adapt, making sure that what we're building is actually useful to people, and then getting it into both our clients' hands so that they can get it into actual users' hands as quickly as possible, before we write a bunch of crap nobody wants, because none of us do that. I think we've all been in software long enough that just about the worst feeling is to work really hard on something and know it's never going to see the light of day. Okay, so I believe this wholeheartedly. Success is built on teams that are made up of motivated individuals that are holding each other accountable. And I think this is really important for you as a member of a team at SolutionStream, because there is nobody here whose job it is to make you do your job. Not, you know, certainly not in the product owners or the Scrum Masters or even project managers. Their job is to manage client relationships and manage client expectations. But our teams and our expectations organizationally is that if you're on a team, you're holding each other accountable, and that you're coming at it from a place of, I am motivated to be successful within this team, and I'm working with this team to figure out how to be successful collectively. And whoever is messaging me, if it's urgent, I'm not looking. So, all right. So what does that mean for a team? You build together and you deliver together. When you're in sprint planning, and we're going to talk a little bit more about planning and stand up, it's really easy to fall back into a mindset of, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm working on this sprint, here's what my responsibilities are. But the team is ultimately committing together, the team is ultimately building together, and the team is ultimately delivering together. And it's a whole lot more fun to be on a team where everybody's kind of firing on that same principle, like, how do we commit together to things that we can deliver together so that we can be consistently successful? Okay, so number 6, encourage effective communication between the business and technology. And this, you know, this is at our client level. I say it all the time, the scarcest resource on any project is an understanding of the requirements, and it never goes away. We attempt to do things like rapid discovery processes to eliminate a lot of the downtime that is represented by decision delay. It is not an easy thing, and it's something I would love us organizationally to get better at pushing our clients around. Like, kind of in an ideal world, our Scrum Master should, or product owner should be saying to a client, hey, if we take in this story that you haven't actually finished the requirements, we're going to build it our own way and refactor it. Or we're just not going to take in incomplete stories. But don't do that. All right. Ultimately, our goal is to encourage our clients to use rapid discovery and to use core Agile processes to make more effective communication about what we're going to be doing so that we can eliminate more of decision delay, because it is really, really bad for projects. So number 7, this one's fun. I actually had to change this when I was working on this last night. This used to say we'd love to regularly co-locate so that we can work face-to-face. You know, Zoom's awesome compared to just talking to people on the phone. It is not a great replacement for getting to be around each other in a face-to-face manner. I am still a believer in face-to-face communication. I don't think it's a make or break for a project anymore, because we've done a lot of really effective things over the last year, all of us, virtually. That being said, when the pandemic's over, teams should pretty regularly, even if it requires travel, get together and have, raise a glass of lemonade or beer or whatever you like to drink together, because it makes for better teams. Okay, so processes that support sustainable pace and repeatability. Sometimes I get hassled for being super process driven. And the biggest reason why I veer this way rather than being kind of more in the mindset of scrappy or entrepreneurial or figuring it out kind of on the fly is consistency allows teams to work more effectively. Like if you know what to expect from processes or how a day is going to proceed, you feel like you're in a lot more control. You have a lot more ability to deliver consistently. You can start to figure out things like velocity. If you have no consistency, you can never understand your own velocity. And so I think it's very important that we be constantly looking at our processes. And, this is one of the reasons why we have Scrum Masters in place. Part of their job is to encourage a team to be looking at how it's operating within a process and figure out how to tweak its process as a team to be more effective. So I'm going to try and go through these faster because, gosh, I can certainly ramble on. But I actually think this is super important. Number 9, we are dedicated to technical and design excellence. As a member of a team, and I see this a lot, and so I love that this is part of our culture already, raising your hand and calling out technical debt, usability debt, places where we're not adhering to best practices as a part of the service that we offer our clients. We are not just code monkeys. We are elevating delivery for our clients. We are helping them build something that is going to move the dial on their organization. And you don't get there by being sloppy. You get there by making careful choices, and technical debt is a perfectly reasonable choice to make. It just needs to be with a mindset of being dedicated to long-term excellence and where are the give and takes that make sense for excellence. Focus on simplicity and maximizing the work not done. One of the things that I am proud of as an organization is that as a rule, we don't walk in and always recommend a client completely scrap everything and start over. There is so much value in not rewriting code sometimes, or in not building a thing, or in not overcommitting, not because we don't think we can deliver, but because ultimately it's a waste of the client's money and we don't want to do it. Part of that is how can we be continually reducing the steps necessary? My love of process is always tempered by a love of eliminating process that can make us more effective and more, which depends on everybody to call out places where they don't believe the process is effective and then address how to make it more effective as part of team. Value and trust the team. Number 11, I think so much about the power of a team. A really well-oiled team that's following all of these principles can, go to the moon. And any of the things that humans have done have always been in a team that trusts and values each other and is trusted and valued by the exterior forces. And last but not least, continuous improvement is next to godliness. If you are on a SolutionStream managed team and you have not had a retrospective in the last month, go to your product owner, your Scrum Master, whomever is representing, the kind of process management, and beg them for a retrospective. This is your chance as a member of a team to have really good conversations with the other members of your team about where you feel like the team can improve, and how can the team support you. This is your chance to ask for help or to offer help. And going back to value and trust, when people are working together to make things better as a collective, it is a superpower. All right. This is the thing that I tell our clients about how we manage software projects. Pretty standard in the current world. Probably our biggest place where we don't do as much as I would like is here in this lean startup. We do, like I said, still a little bit struggle to convince our customers that they might not know what's right for their customers. Most of our clients, we've gotten good at selling them on the design thinking part. Then they want to jump right into Agile and don't necessarily want to go through the rigor of validating and trying experiments and potentially pivoting. And I hope that we can encourage a lot more of that, because sometimes we are still in a boat where what the client chooses to have us build is really not the right thing for them to build. And I would love to discourage that. Okay, so what does the day-to-day look like if you are on a team at SolutionStream? And consistent actions do deliver repeatable results. So this first slide is, I would say, fairly aspirational on my part. We do occasionally use team charters. I think that we see it inside some teams more effective than others. And so I put this slide in here a little bit as a challenge to all of us. I think it's super healthy for a team, if we're going to do regular retrospectives, to sit down at the beginning of the project or each time a new member gets added to your team. And even if it's a half an hour at the beginning of a sprint planning, agree on behavior across the team, so that if you're holding each other accountable, everybody needs to know what that standard is. And having an alignment of expectations of behavior. In general, my organizational goal is to never have problems escalated up through a hierarchy, because problems are generally going to be solved at the team level. If you think, hey, Matt Graham, why don't you do that thing that I needed you to do? The first question should be, did I tell him in a very clear manner that I needed that from him? Which is where the charter comes in. Have I stated what those rules are of our shared behavior? So these are elements I would put into a good team charter. A mission statement. And a lot of times this is kind of a product focused mission statement. What are we trying to deliver for our client here? What is this? What are our absolute goals? The next one would be kind of the rules and the constitutions. How are we going to collaborate together? How do we get a hold of each other? How do we, how quickly should I panic if I don't hear a response? What are our roles? And part of this is as simple as, when we're setting up stand-up times and setting up planning times, talking just about what those expectations are. And then setting up clear success criteria and goals. What is the team's expectation for each other as an output of sprint planning? And some of these are standards that we have set and continue to set at the organization level. And that with an expectation that there is some tweaking that's necessary for every single team, based on team size, based on a variety of things that come up as we're doing projects. Okay, so some things about planning. My goal, as whether I'm a product owner, a Scrum Master, or I'm even showing up just doing classic project management, when I'm in planning, I have zero idea what we're doing. I know what the outcomes that need to happen are, but I'm wholly dependent on the person who's doing the actual work to be the one describing the work. So the first and most important thing about effective planning is that everyone participates, right? This is not the Scrum Masters meeting. It's not the product owners meeting. This is the team's meeting to figure out what they're working on the next 2 weeks and to commit to each other about what we're going to deliver. We always deliver as a team, right? If you get done and you got, hey, I got all my tasks done, but this person over here didn't get anything done, and so we didn't meet the first goal, which was to deliver working software, not good enough, right? As far as committing as a team. So everyone participates. Planned path to value. I think this is pretty important. As a team member, you should feel open to, like, all right, we know by the end of January we're supposed to deliver XYZ to this client. How does this sprint get us closer to that? Everyone should be very, very interested in this question continually, because the number one thing we want to do every sprint, if we're going to be delivering value and ensuring that we're delivering value towards this end goal, we should be laser focused in how does this move us closer to that. So clear team commitments, I think, is part of this. What are the dependencies on the team, and how are we going to be helping each other as we're moving towards this shared goal together? I know I have a fair amount of debate internally with people around sprint planning. Personally, I don't love like sending people back to their desks to figure out what their tasks are going to be, because it divides us into, I'm working on a task versus we're a team delivering a set of features, and if your mindset is, what do I need to do to get my thing done? Now, that being said, I know that we do use that as a process occasionally. Go back to my desks. I'm going to figure out what I need to do. Just all of us should be thinking, okay, how does my tasks fit into the bigger goal? And how can I ensure that as the team, I'm supporting my other team members and not just doing my own thing? Stories and capacity, ideally determined ahead of time. If your product owner is routinely coming in with stories not ready to execute, and I know that for a fair amount of our product owners, the clients have zero idea what we're going to build. And a lot of times that the product owners are very much scrambling to answer this particular question. And we always are trying to do better. So some other elements of effective planning. The person doing the work is responsible for breaking it down. The Scrum Masters, their job is not really to like write tasks or to drag people along or to, encourage people. That ideally should be led by either the technical lead or, in more of a volunteer basis by the entire team. Hey, this sounds like something that's in my area of expertise. I'm going to take this task. Here's how I'm going to break it down. Or, hey, I don't know exactly how to break this down. Hey, technical lead, I believe this is in my area. Help me break it down. Just a different mindset of being a lot more collaborative. I think, so acceptance criteria. We need always a shared understanding about how a feature will behave. And, my personal belief is we should be walking into a sprint with all of this information. Like if these questions are coming up during daily stand-up, we're missing something. And that's something that we should address during retrospectives. Hey, it feels like every day in stand-up, we're having this conversation about what does this feature need to do? That maybe is a lack of efficacy in our actual planning process. So daily stand-up, what should it look like? I admit I am super militant about stand-ups. They are our one opportunity, ideally in a day, to make sure that we are on task towards our sprint goals. And the sprint goals should always be part of the conversation, in my mind, of stand-up. So SolutionStream, it is not unusual to refer to stand-up as SUM. It is an acronym. I have heard that it is not a well-known acronym outside of SolutionStream. It stands for stand-up meeting. And so you will often hear it referred to as SUM. the stand-up meeting is a daily opportunity to renew our commitments to the team and just have really good conversations. And so the extra benefit is getting to see each other face to face. Honestly, if you never turn on your screen on stand-up, you're probably missing a connection with your team members that would help you be probably more effective together. There's just a reality about getting to see people regularly, like actually see faces. I'm not going to dictate that people not, I've had people that I've never actually seen what they look like, but I won't dictate that. But everybody on the team should be paying attention and collaborating. Like it is not actually a status meeting, even though we are talking about status. It is a collaboration meeting that allows us to be more effective. The conversation should be tied back to what we committed to as a sprint goal. Again, not because of this being a status meeting, but for us to be talking and seeing how the impact on day 1 and day 3 and day 5 is what's the downstream on the commitment that we made for the sprint. What do we need to do strategically as a team on day 1 or day 2 to hit this goal? And that, it's not just a list of items in a backlog. It's something that we're kind of rallying around. And these are our chances to make sure that we're understanding critical path. So yesterday I said I was going to do this. This is what I got done towards that. Again, not as a status, but if you didn't get it done, it probably indicates that there's probably a piece of information missing, or we now discovered that this is more complex than we thought it was going to be. What are the impacts on the rest of the stories for the rest of the sprint? And what are we going to do as a team to rally around this change of understanding and still hit our commitments, right? It's not just, hey, Matt didn't get his thing done. Sorry, Matt, you are top of my screen. It's what things were blocking Matt that now as a team we need to be addressing so that we can still pull this thing off. So what am I going to complete today? Hey, I have to actually get that thing done that I didn't get yesterday. And I know I need to get it done because we only planned it for 6 hours and I'm already 8 hours into it. And so helping me kind of surface my own critical path where I believe I'm going to be blocked, even if the blocking is just the fact that I don't know how to solve the problem yet. That is a perfectly acceptable blocker that should be part of the conversation because there might be somebody on the team who does know how to solve the problem. And if you're not talking about that as a blocker, you maybe are missing out on, maybe Matt says, hey, Cameo, I really can help you out with that. I did this thing over here, or I got this problem fixed. Let me jump in. Let's pair for the next hour. Let me figure out how I can help you get over this hump so that I can actually get it done. And then, anything that's slowing you down, it's a blocker, even if it's your own thing. I already said that, so I won't. All right, retrospectives. I love them. I think I already said I am totally a believer in them. When I see them used well, you can see a team really start to gel, and I don't know if anyone's read Radical Candor. One of the biggest things that made an impression to me about that book isn't about talking to other people candidly. It's about the true power in having conversations is being able to let people talk candidly to you, and the power in being able to learn and grow yourself is in having a regular mechanism where it's okay for people to be critical with each other, and where it's safe to be critical with each other because we all acknowledge that the only way we can get better is to have somebody talk to us about the things that are true challenges on a team. So an ideal retrospective is to have a facilitator from outside the team. And, probably across our Scrum Masters and product owners, we should be brainstorming on ways that we could even be sharing, somebody else can easily jump in and run a retro so that the Scrum Master can participate as a team member rather than as a facilitator. We don't have anything formal for that, but there are plenty of people in the organization that are good at facilitating. And so there's one occasion particularly, we had a team that had really struggled, and they were regularly running retrospectives, but it wasn't until we brought in an outside facilitator that some of the strife that was between a couple of people on the team and the Scrum Master was able to be surfaced, because a lot of times there's this perception that the facilitator is the authority figure when really they're just supposed to be helping drive the conversation. A big part of retrospective is celebrating the successes of the team, and I recently had a team that I was doing some coaching with on the size of their stories. They weren't completing anything sprint after sprint, and there's almost nothing that can be worse for morale on a team than to feel like you're not being successful. I think all of us have been on that team that's firing on all cylinders, and you get done with the sprint and you feel like heroes, and it's such a good feeling. And the converse is such an awful feeling that we want to make sure that the retrospectives are a regular opportunity to celebrate the things the team has done that has been successful. Speak openly and candidly about issues and challenges. It's hard to say to somebody like, I need you to do something different. It's hard to figure out how to phrase criticism or even input in such a way that it's not discouraging to another team member. But it's a healthy exercise. Every single retrospective should have concrete improvements that come out of it. Specific things that we're hoping to, not just hoping, that we're targeting to address real problems. And then the next retro, we should be looking at them and say, did it address our problem? Does the problem still exist? And what are we going to do this time? Because, if we're not solving real problems that are happening on the team, there probably isn't any point. Okay. And then, of course, don't forget to have fun. I make retros fun. So I'm not going to go through this. This is just like a whole bunch more nerdiness stuff about why I believe in continuous improvement. And just some guiding principles around how to be more effective at continuous improvement in general. And then lastly, how to be on a team. Be excellent to each other. The end. Cheers. All right. And let's see, that was my 30 minutes. Does anyone have any questions and/or thoughts?
Cameo, I got one.
Yeah.
You were talking about retro just a few seconds ago, and I was wondering if you have any strategies that you would recommend to be able to help the team engage in more efficient retrospectives. The tone of our retrospectives is a lot of shoulder shrugging and past personalities. And sometimes I've had a few gimmicks or strategies or formats to try to get the real conversation going. When you start really talking about important things, the conversation flows easily, but over that hump can be difficult. I'm wondering what ideas you have on this.
I have found that game playing can be pretty nice. Honestly, one of the very most effective things, though, I've ever seen is to bring in somebody who's outside of the team, who maybe is a little bit kind of smacking them around, and say, okay, we're going to try something totally.
Available to come in and snap around?
Also, the bark collars that you can get on Amazon, worthless. This is a real.
Mike, one of the other
they
things
make
that
them
I
bark.
found with doing retros that has been helpful is we started using, or at least a number of us have started using, a tool that allows everybody to actively get in and post, their stickers, since we can't meet together. And they are actually using the tool to post in the goods and the bads. And so by having something where they're actively having to type or write or put something up, that makes them kind of feel like they have to participate a little bit more. And I'd be more than happy to show you kind of what I'm using and what we've used with some SolutionStream stuff as well. We use a tool called Miro and have boards built. Another thing we also have done is we've put in some suggested thoughts or questions to think about when you're thinking about the project to kind of help make your mind focus on what went well, what didn't go well, that kind of thing. And those are often good resources to have people looking back if they're kind of drawing blanks over the last sprint or whatever it is they're retroing, right? So.
I'm also not above bribing people. Like I have bribed people on whoever puts on the most stickies on what went well, I'm going to buy lunch for, or whoever puts the most stickies around this area, I'm going to do something nice for. It's okay to gamify participation sometimes. I have been, and I, again, I am a huge fan in bringing out in somebody, even if it's just once from the outside, to kind of smack the team around a little and say, hey, listen, let's try some different things, and then have the regular Scrum Master come back in after some, and some teams are just hard to get to retro.
Yeah, and I'm sure to that end, if you were to ask Cameo or myself or someone else within the organization to come in and be part of your retro, you might see better participation as well. Just it's the same thing, kind of encourage people to participate better. And I'd be happy to do that if you can find time on my calendar.
All right, other questions?
I've used another tool that's been pretty effective. It's called Retro, Reetro. And it's just a website that you can go to that has a lot of different ways you can do start, stop, continue, or other things like that. And it also then keeps your history, so you can always go back to it, and you can lock the history and those kinds of things.
That's interesting. I will go check it out, because I'm always looking for better and effective ways to run those. All right, any other questions? How many people are like, yeah, this isn't at all how my team runs?
That was good, though. I hope you'll share the slides. We can go back.
Yeah. Yes, I will share the slides. Okay. Wow.
Thanks, Cam. It was excellent.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for making time in the middle of your week for this. I can't tell you what the topic will be next week, but I'm hoping it's going to be something in the quality of service realm. So we will see who I encourage to maybe do this in instead of me next week. We'll have bets. You can we'll have a little office pool on who gets roped into this next week.
Thanks for doing it, Cameo.
Thank you, Cameo.
See y'all.
Yeah, thanks.
Everybody have a good week.